It's a dark night. You hear a spooky sound. An ah. Is it a scream? Or the backing vocals of a Pink Floyd song? Welcome to Sync Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name is Gareth Blackler, and cut to him in a car arriving as I narrate. Look at him. It's James Barron.
Hello, Gareth Oogie Boogie. It's that time once again.
It is.
Spooky season is upon us. It's time to feel fear in our hearts as we approach a spooky mansion and watch spooky films for the show. Yeah. House on Haunted Hill this week.
Oh, yes.
1957 classic, I think.
1959.
1959. I'm 2 years early.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Sorry, you're ahead of your time.
I'm getting excited for the spookiness. I was building up the hype like before Dune. House on Haunted Hill movie. I actually found out that I had seen this before, but I'd only seen the last half of it.
Ah.
Yeah. I saw the bit that the climax ending bit, and I remember that well because that's my brand. But yeah, but I didn't know that I had seen it when I recommended it. So that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I also have a confusing whether or not I've seen this or not kind of thing in my life.
All right.
And that I was sure I had seen it, and then last year I read the book The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, which came out the same year and has the pretty much the exact same title, similar to if you'd just been playing around with little fridge magnets and got it mixed up. And it's also about staying in a spooky house. And the whole time I read this book, I was like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember this in the movie that I think I've seen.
Right.
And then later found out they were completely unconnected when you suggested this. And then watching it, there's one shot that I was like, oh, I've definitely seen this. And I had a complete flashback to my friend's lounge, sitting on the couch with different friends. It was probably like 2 a.m. and we were watching this. And I don't think we finished it.
Oh.
And that's my, up till now, House on Haunted Hill life.
History on House on Haunted Hill. Covered off. Nice.
Speaking of the history of House on Haunted Hill, are you aware of the gimmicks that haunted this film?
Yes, I read about this. This is so cool. They had. Do you want to cover it off? You raised it. Tell me as if I didn't know, Gareth.
Okay, but you better act really well. So, this film was directed by William Castle.
Whoa!
Who... it gets better, mate.
Oh my god.
He was... Once he kind of went by himself, he was known for his gimmicks. And for this one, it featured a skeleton would rise on a wire next to the audience and fly around and spook them out during the skeletal scenes. And then lower back down when the skeleton lowered back down. And they had to do it because, and this is to quote IMDb, too many boys were shooting it with slingshots.
That's such a good reason to have to stop doing it. Oh my god. There's bloody Calvins in the audience with their slingshots. What are they like?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Season 2 Bart Simpsons.
Yeah. For real. Oh, man.
And he did it for, a lot of his films, even though his studio was saying, please stop doing this. It's blowing so much money.
It's so annoying as well for, the having to rig it up in every cinema. Oh, my gosh.
Because for his 1961 film, Homicidal, they paused the film with a thing called a fright break, where you had 45 seconds to leave and get a full refund if you were too scared to finish the film. And when people did it, he didn't think anyone would do it, so he got really mad. And he installed a coward's corner in the theatre where you had to go, and you had to, cross the whole theatre in with yellow light on you, yellow footsteps, and then a recording would keep playing saying, "Watch the chicken! Watch him shiver in the coward's corner."
That's fantastic. I had not
So
heard about
good,
that.
right?
That's so good. Why do we not have a Coward's Corner in every cinema? Just for movie talkers to be sent to. Oh my gosh. Watch that chicken. It's so funny.
You had to sign a piece of paper that said you were a coward.
Wow. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my god. A genius of his time. Underappreciated. Wow. Anyone who raises up a big skeleton and flies it around the room is a genius in my book. That's a fact you can take to the bank. Oh man.
Speaking of Coward's Corners, so when we started this show, we were famously two timid lads. We talked about it quite a lot, about how we were timid lads, and then we realized my microphone wasn't working, and we talked more about how we were timid lads, this time on mic. I would love to know, though, like, we're reaching our second spooky season.
Sure.
Are you still... How are you finding horror these days, James?
I am much more open to horror movies in that, like, I know that I am a timid lad, as you described, but I have a, like, fascination with horror as a genre, and that I like looking at and figuring out the scary thing a lot of the time, like solving the mystery. I'm much more open to it. And I've seen like a lot of recent horror movies. Like I saw like Hereditary and Midsummer. They're from the same director, so that's not a great example. But like I want to go and see Candyman now that that's out in cinemas, dating this episode somewhat. But like, you know, I'm much more open to the idea of a horror movie for sure. And yeah, you know, like maybe I'm braver than I think, Gareth.
I like that your way of becoming braver has involved like analyzing the mechanics of fear. I think that's really cool. I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
You got to understand it to no longer fear it.
Ooh.
Yes. Become the monster.
You must know the monster to become the monster.
Yep. That's true.
I just repeated what you said, but I put a dramatic pause in it so that I'll sound smart.
That was a good soundbite. You're just a pro podcaster, Gareth. What about yourself? You feeling braver this time around?
I genuinely think I am. I just realized I've watched 6 horror movies this week.
Holy fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Flex.
It is the spooky season. Last year I piled on the spookiness. I watched so much horror. Like watched the classics, watched the newbies. To the point where I actually had to stop, and I started having nightmares about Michael Myers from Halloween and Ghostface from Scream.
Wow.
Those two boys with their knives.
Teaming up.
Still too scary. But like, yeah, you've got anything like, you know, a demon or maybe they're witches or this kind of A24 kind of thing where it's just spooky naked person. I'm pretty brave about now. Like I can handle.
You can handle the spooky naked person? Man, that's something that I cannot do. So yeah, I'm not quite there yet, but I'm glad that you're here to protect me on the pod.
Okay.
Yeah. You're the brave soul.
Good.
You're the Lance to my Nora. Yeah.
Hey, good one.
Hey, let's get into The House on Haunted Hill, how it's synced with the magnum opus, shall we? Yeah?
Yes. Although first, and this is, again, another deviation, but we literally learned this just before we started recording. So I was trying to find a clever way to intro the show, which I'm pretty sure you know I nailed. And I searched Pink Floyd Haunted House, thinking maybe they had a lyric about it.
Yeah.
And David Gilmour of the popular band Pink Floyd briefly owned a haunted house.
So good. You can find this online at a website called Derelict Doug, which is great in its own right. But yeah, it's just this really weird, huge mansion that he owned in the British Isles, and eventually sold. But it's wonderful. Seek it out to see the Pink Floyd spooky house.
Yeah, to be fair, Derelict Doug doesn't really talk about much of the hauntings.
Nah,
he just wants to show you photos and tell you about its business opportunities.
Into the architecture and the proposition of business. He's a derelict salesman.
Yeah.
And come see my new film, Derelict Salesman.
Oh.
Yeah.
That could do quite well, like, in this Nomadland era. Like, you can make a pretty sick film called Derelict Salesman. But do you want to share our favourite fact we learned about Pink Floyd's spooky house?
Oh, no. I closed the window, so I don't remember it, but it was good. I think there was that. I want to get it right. They briefly stored the inflatable giant pig in this mansion.
Yes.
Which is just great. Imagine walking into a room and there's just a huge blow-up pig. You're ready to be scared by a ghost, and then you encounter that.
Especially if it was the pig, they couldn't like deflate it because it was too expensive, so they just had to keep it inflated in
fully
the
inflated. Yeah, they couldn't. They couldn't deflate it. They punctured it several times, but the power of the spectres kept it whole. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm pulling my money out of Derelict Salesman and putting it all in Haunted Floating Pig. That's going to be the hit film.
Hell yeah! It's the sequel to Pig with Nicolas Cage in it. Haunted Floating Pig. Yeah. Can't wait.
He's just sadly watching this pig float by, like, the ghosts, man.
You stoned there, pig. Oh man. Okay. We've covered off all the excellent haunted news from Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Spooky news. But we've got to cover the film like we do, you know? Yeah. Let's do it. This film starts as all good ones do, with complete darkness and a woman screaming.
Oh my lord. I'd almost forgotten about that. So this film it's in the public domain, and thus you can stream it in its entirety on Wikipedia. Yeah. Which is amazing, and also a little worrying that Wikipedia are going to start doing like an Amazon Prime thing. But if you're trying to do something like see if that is the whole movie on Wikipedia, or, you know, start and restart it trying to sync it with a Pink Floyd record, the fact that it's complete black and a woman screams out of your computer is not fun.
It's not helpful. Not a great start. I imagine that this would have been even worse in theatre, because you're waiting for the movie to start. You do get like a little title card being like, these are the people that made the film. But it's just darkness for a while and then screams, which is... Like, in a theatre, I feel like that's a really bad decision. If someone has, like, a tragic accident or, like, I don't know, something even worse happens in the theatre, like, having people screaming as part of the movie, it's not safe. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like growing up, my dad had strict rules on what CDs we could play in the car. We couldn't play anything with like scary noises because he was driving.
Oh yeah,
which is very ironic considering the amount of times he played Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon that starts with a scream as well.
Exactly. Oh my god, that is a good thing. Yes, bringing it back to the Floyd is that this does sync incredibly well. Like having the rising screams of oh my god, speak to me, thank you. Coming on in instead of the screaming and clinking of chains and the grumbling of ghouls that takes place on the start of this movie. Like, they're both trying to do the same thing. They're both setting the scene in the same way. So I'm into that. We get a floating head of Pritchard. I don't really know why he's here, except that he just sort of steals the show, I think, by being a little creepo. Yeah, he's just delivering this very weird, upsetting monologue about, like, the people have died in the house. The ghouls are wandering the halls. And you're like, oh my God, what? What is happening? But it's strange that we go from him directly to another floating head of Vincent Price playing Frederick Lauren, who is the I don't know, he's the host of the party. He's the main guy. He was on the poster and all that stuff, you know. The main drawer of the movie, Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts on him? He's got the, like, I think his Brain from Pinky the Brain, his voice was based on Vincent Price, I think.
I get confused. I think Brain is half Orson Welles half Vincent Price. I think who's that actor? Maurice LaMarche, I think, is the guy who voices Brain. And yeah, and I think, doesn't the other guy from Home Alone voice Pinky? That's got to be wrong. But my thoughts on Vincent Price, folks.
Yeah.
I like him. I like any person who, because he, I think, hosted shows where he was just like, now check this out. Isn't this spooky? And you just be like, that is spooky.
Yeah.
And honestly, anyone who's going to do that for you gets a tick in my book.
Yeah.
He's definitely someone I haven't experienced. I've experienced references to him.
Yeah.
A la like Brain and Fright Night and all that kind of stuff. I think there's been some Simpsons characters based on him.
For sure.
Like, I've witnessed all those references before I witnessed the real thing, so it's hard to kind of take him as he would have been at the time. But yeah, I like him and his little moustache. What about you?
He's like confidently creepy in a way. He's like, he's roguish and handsome, but he's also got the spooky, creepy factor. He's like ideal for this movie. And that you're like 60-40 on this guy being a vampire, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like, he could well be, but you're just along for the ride. You don't really care that much. But yeah, he's saying he's coming in and now that Pritchard's off screen, because he hasn't delivered any actual helpful information to set up the film, we just get rid of him and we have Mr. Lauren coming in and saying, yes, I'm actually hosting a party in that crazy man's house for my wife in this haunted house, and if the guests stay, they will receive $10,000 apiece, a sizable sum of money for staying in this haunted house. It's like a weird sleepover gambit here.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's saying like it's all very creepy. And they're coming in funeral cars, as I did in the intro. And yeah, they all the guests have a common desire for money. They all need the money. And that's what links them. Nothing else really does. And we are introduced to them very eloquently here as they're driving up. We've got Lance Schroeder, a fighter pilot by trade, who was chosen for his bravery more so than anything else. He's like, oh, he's a brave boy, but can he face the spooks? We've got Ruth Bridges, who's like a journalist, works for the paper, and is going to write a story or write an article about this experience. She has very little to do in this movie.
I was just thinking that. I was like, where did she go?
Yeah. I tried to remember what she was up to, and I've made a couple of notes trying to figure out what her deal is, but she's just sort of there in the background as like an extra person to throw you off, I guess. We've got Pritchard, Watson Pritchard, who owns the spooky house itself.
Yeah.
He is very afraid of it because his brother died there, and also his, like, I don't know how the relation. There was like there's been multiple murders there, and he's just now owns this house that he doesn't want to. But he's also like along for this ride to get a bunch of money just for like staying in the house that he owns. So fair play to Pritchard.
Yeah, he's a strange one. He's definitely the most worried-looking man you'll ever see.
Oh my god, yeah. This guy has one face, and it is crumpled like a paper bag. He is constantly, like, in a state of perpetual fear of ghosts. This man. It's great.
Yeah.
He does, he steals the show for me just by being, like, an absolute nutcase. in every scene that he's in, but anyway, we'll get to him more. We've got Dr. David Trent, who is a psychiatrist, and he's like any kind of ghost here in this house is merely hysteria, and he studies fear and hysteria.
I kind of hate this guy because everything he thinks is just hysteria. Yeah. He's like, oh, a woman saw it. Hysteria.
She must be hysterical. bring out the leeches is like,
Yeah.
that's the impression I get from him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And we've got Nora Manning as well, a typist who works for Mr. Lauren. She's like your typical horror movie damsel.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says that she needs the money more than most of the other guests to support her family. And then he's like, isn't she pretty? And you're like, ugh. Okay.
Yeah, dude. A, you're her boss. B, come on.
Yeah, very weird. And then, they're all rolling up on the house together as the title card drops and on screen, and Pink Floyd sing Race Towards an Early Grave at the end of Breathe.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, oh, damn, that's pretty good. They're just like walking up to the house and checking out its grounds over on the run as well, and that works too. We're getting like the opening titles in proper here before we just had the screaming. And yeah, the house itself is a weird choice, I think. It's a Frank Lloyd Wright building. It's a real house. And it's just this like huge blocky Art Deco kind of nightmare of a building.
Yeah.
Very weird. I think it's supposed to be like a lot of like spaces that don't make sense. Like having this crazy blocky house implies that there are secret rooms and stuff. All the tiles kind of look like mazes and things like that as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of works.
Definitely the inside does not match the outside. Though.
Hell
It's
no.
like, no, it's like just once you're inside, it's your classic gothic haunted house, kind of Victorian kind of look and feel.
Yeah, the bad thing is that that's what's on the cover as well. The like like on the poster, there's a like a old spooky like 4-leveled house up on a hill with like a creepy tree, and this super isn't that. Like,
No.
this is the other house on the hill nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. I don't know, but we barely see the exterior of this house.
That's very true, yeah.
Basically, everything else is shot on like soundstage, with a bunch of like fake cobwebs and candles and stuff, all over the place.
I wonder if back in that day you'd see the film before you painted it, or like painted the poster, because I guess it would have taken so long.
Yeah, maybe.
Like maybe because it was Reynold Brown was the poster painter.
Wow, good fact.
Yeah. Who also painted the famous Attack of the 50-Foot Woman poster.
Oh, nice. That's a good poster.
Yeah, it is, eh?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, because I know definitely it's obviously very different, but in Ghana, they would paint their own posters and they wouldn't show them the actual movie, so they had to guess quite a lot. And that's why the Space Jam poster for Ghana features Michael Jordan with a gun.
I mean, like, you could describe most of Space Jam and still end up with that, I think. So
yeah, true.
It doesn't really surprise me. This poster is a banger as well. It's just that the house doesn't match. That's my only beef with it. I think it's a really good one. Captures a lot of the iconic stuff from the movie in there as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the vibe in general was captured.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, who are we to say, like, the famous Soul Bass Vertigo poster, he's not actually a, like, flat cartoon character in that movie. So,
my God.
You're allowed to stylize.
Spoilers for Vertigo, Gareth. Gosh.
Oh, no, sorry.
I thought it was all just, like, one long Soul Bass poster of a movie.
Oh, no.
It was just the Catch Me If You Can intro, but forever.
Honestly, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, they all rock up to the house and like introduce themselves to each other. And then, they say like, none of us have met each other. We're all strangers. None of them have also met their host, Mr. Lauren, even though like Nora works for him and all this stuff. She got invited over the phone. And, they were kind of chosen at random. We get the crash sound and on the run over these discussions, which doesn't work for me. That's no sync there. But
you do see a bit of Watson's face, though, and he's hearing that crash.
Yeah. He is just constantly experiencing On the Run in his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never left track 3 of the album. But yeah, there's a little bit of discussion about Mr. Lauren. He's this like insane billionaire and has had 3 previous wives. We don't find out what happened to those wives, but yeah, he's got a current wife who is hosting this party as well. This party is named of her.
Doesn't his wife later say, though, that they all died of heart attacks in their 20s?
He does. She does, yeah. But I was going to save that for when it happened. But yes.
Oh, no.
It's all good.
First Vertigo, now House on Haunted Hill.
Oh, no. I mean, I assume you've watched the film. This is
worse than when Luke, he was his father.
Yeah.
Oops.
Luke was his own father.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Spoilers.
Honestly, the way the Star Wars, extended universe works, that probably is true.
Probably at this point. I don't know.
Midichlorians, who's to say?
Yeah. Delicious midichlorians.
This episode brought to you by midichlorians.
Yeah. Eat them up. Get the force. Force them down. That's what it's.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, the front door spookily closes by itself, and the clocks go off in time. In time as the chandelier falls from the ceiling, nearly killing Nora. She's pulled aside very quickly by Lance, saving her. But yeah, a bit spooky already. Weird stuff happening in this house. It's like the deal with this house is that it's just one big trick house, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like haunted house traps. It's got all the tropes going on. I guess it's inventing them, this movie, but it's very like, it walks the line between being very, very silly and also very scary, you know?
Yeah.
Like everyone in the movie is getting spooked, but some of these stunts are pretty funny.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a haunted house? Like one of the fake ones where it's like, you get into this room and, someone's going to run at you.
No, I've not done that. I would like to, I think, now in my macho man brave state. But
yeah.
I've been to a like haunted corn maze experience.
Ooh.
Where people just chased you in a corn maze. It wasn't actually very fun. It was quite cold. Because Halloween in New Zealand is in the middle of winter, basically. No, it's not. It's in the middle of summer. What am I talking about?
Oh, it's the middle of spring.
Middle of spring. So it's still cold
that can go
out.
either way, yeah.
Cold out at night.
Yeah.
And, got chased around by people in masks and just sort of like, you're in a maze and you're like, I still have to solve this fucking maze.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, I've never enjoyed a real life maze. I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, they're just not that fun.
No.
Also, the people would scare you in the maze, and then, like, I would just sort of freeze. I wouldn't, like, run away from the person in the maze. And then they didn't really know what to do, so they'd just sort of stand there. It was very silly.
Yeah.
Or, like, disappear.
That's exactly my haunted house experience, is we did a haunted office block. This is like 10 years ago.
Wow.
And we got into one room and the guy was like, don't go any further. And we're like, okay, we won't. And we just stayed in the room and he had to drop character and go like, guys, just go through that door. You're almost done.
But you told us, sir. You warned us. You were foreboding.
We won't fall for your ghoul traps.
Oh no. Ghoul traps. The worst of all traps.
Yeah, that's why I never go to gill trap motors, is I'm scared they're ghoul trap motors.
Yeah, those motors will... Yeah, no, I've got nothing. That's just... Man, the ghoul... I'm still stuck on ghoul traps. I just am so worried that they exist now. Even a ghoul will fall into this trap. Oh, no.
Yeah, it doesn't discriminate. Humans and ghouls are both trapped in it.
Yeah, awful. Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Lauren goes up and meets with his fourth wife, Annabelle, here, is played by Carol Omart. And
yes.
Yeah, she is good in this. Yeah, I like her presence. She is they have this like very strange relationship with each other, these two, and that they both, I don't know, they both actively are trying to mess with each other and very darkly spook each other, and they want to kill each other, basically, is what's going on. But she wants to kill him and take his fortune, and he wants to stop that from happening. But they have this like very twisted relationship where they hate each other, but also like rib each other, or like they kind of are getting off on the spookiness of things. I think it's not good. There's this so she did try to kill him in the past, but there's no like proof. With poison, she poisoned some food of his or whatever, and she denies this, of course, and like cites his jealousy and possessiveness and all this stuff. But yeah, they're like at each other's throats for most of this movie. But yeah, they have interesting chemistry as a pair.
It's fascinating. It's like, imagine going out to dinner with those two. And
oh my god.
Oh, this fork could kill you pretty quickly. Not if this knife kills you. Maybe this drink's poison. Oh, maybe Gareth drank it. And I'm like, oh, guys.
I'm sitting here just with like a spoon and going like, oh, just want to eat the soup. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
You're only sitting there because there wasn't enough like tables for one, and you have to share it with these two.
Oh man, has that ever happened?
The weird, sexy murder energy.
I want it to be true.
I feel like it's happened to me, and I've blanked it out.
Oh no.
Honest. Yeah, I've definitely gone to concerts alone and then sat next to someone else who's going alone, and both got there early, and we've just looked like we had a fight, and we're not talking to each other.
That's good. I like that energy.
Yeah.
You're like...
Yeah, that's always good.
You're furious at your new fake, like, concert girlfriend. That's pretty fun.
It happened at Kendrick Lamar, because seats were really hard to get there, so I managed to get, like, one of the last seats. And I was next to someone who must have also got one of the last seats. And he left before the last song, and it really looked like our fight had gotten really bad.
Oh, man. Not even Kendrick could keep the relationship together. That's bleak.
I know.
Damn.
I've never seen that stranger since. So
yeah. Tragic.
Dang.
Shout-outs to you, wherever you may be. Irate Kendrick Lamar fan. Maybe he's no longer a fan, and just that last song was enough. He's like, I'm out. See ya.
Wow, yeah. Wow.
Or he had, like, pies in the oven or something that he had to attend to. I don't know. Why would you leave a concert before the last song? That's like actual psycho moves.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was at Auckland Spark Arena, which is difficult to leave. But
Okay.
like, there's no parking near it, so we weren't trying to beat traffic.
That's
we were just
fair.
Kind of like, yeah.
How did he know it was the last song? It's like, I guess there's like a runtime of, you can look at the ticket and see an expected runtime, but then there's like encores and things like that. How could he possibly know?
Yeah, that's such a good point. I wonder if he was just counting off the hits and he was like, all right, we've had DNA, we've had Humble, we've had Swimming Pools. Okay, good, yeah. Oh yeah, this is the last one I think is a hit.
Seen what I
can't
came
imagine
to
the
see.
fans going crazy. Yeah, maybe that was it, yeah. He ticked off all his faves.
Yeah.
And got to go. In which case, I salute him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still kind of afraid of him.
Yeah. I salute him in fear.
Yeah, we aren't that brave. If you leave a podcast early, if you leave a concert or podcast early, if you turn off this podcast early, I'm afraid of you.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but anyway. Pritchard is here they're all meeting in the like lounge room after this. And yeah, Pritchard is here just being an absolute nutcase, much like myself, and is talking about how his brother and sister were found cut up all over this house, but they never found the heads. And it's like, this guy would be the worst party guest. If someone was acting like this all the time in your haunted house stay, you're like, dude, just like let the house be the spooky bit. You don't need to like, are you part of it? I don't understand. It's very weird. He's supposed to be a guest.
You invite him over and he's like done the research into your flat. Like,
oh yeah.
a previous tenant
Ooh.
had a drink driving charge. And you're like, oh no, that's just a bummer. Why would you say that?
So spooky, though. Ooh.
Yeah. A couple who lived here got a divorce.
Whoa.
You're like, oh, okay.
This is a house
man.
of
We're just trying
divorce.
to boogie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got a few more tracks of Kendrick Lamar left.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, this is the last one, so if you want to get out of here.
Maybe you should leave.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got Mr. Lauren, after all the weirdness with his wife, he does have a really good line, actually, that I missed. He said, as he goes to leave, he says, "Don't let the ghosts and ghouls disturb you, dear." And she turns and says, "Darling, the only ghoul here is you."
Ah, beautiful.
So good.
He fell into a ghoul trap there.
He did. He sure did. He thankfully arrives and puts an end to Pritchard's creepiness, and intros the party and starts pouring drinks and stuff. And he outlines some of the rules. He says the caretakers of the house are leaving at midnight, and they'll lock the house up when they leave, and there's no way out. There's no electricity in the whole house or phones out. They're miles away from everybody, so no one's here coming to save them or whatever. And so if you want to leave the house, you have to tell them before midnight. Otherwise, but you do forfeit the $10,000 prize if you do so. That's the deal. It's so strange. His scheme here is such a weird thing to do. Thinking about it too deeply, it's like, why would you go to all this trouble? But when you when you understand Mr. Lauren as a guy, and you see what he's dealt with in his with his wife and stuff, he's just a very creepy dude. I think he just really enjoys this whole thing. He would do this again every week, I think.
Yeah, or once you kind of get ahead in this film and everyone's scheme starts sneaking up, or being revealed, all of them are so complicated and hinder entirely on chance. No way was this your entire plot. And even this initial setup is just so over the top and crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's a fun setup though. You hear these rules and you're like, all right, I'm in. Let's find out.
Yeah, true. Would you do this? Would you stay in a spooky house overnight for $10,000?
I would. I'd be annoyed about the reveal of the guns after I'm already locked in. I think that sucks as a move, but absolutely I would. Sure. Before the knowing that there's guns on the scene, I would absolutely.
Same. Once the guns come out, I'm doing what Roof does and just not being in the film anymore. Yeah,
I'd be like, God damn it. Now I get $10,000 and you're going to jail, sir.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the scariest part of the movie, is giving 7 strangers guns in a haunted house, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, the doc is here. I just call him the doc, basically, for all of my notes. His name...
That's fair.
Yeah, Dr. David Trent. Dr. Trent, or Dr. David, as I'm sure he prefers. Yeah, he is saying, again, that the ghosts are a product of hysteria. But Pritchard's an absolute firm believer in ghosts. He's saying that there were 4 men and 3 women that have been murdered in this house in the past, and coincidentally, that is the same number and gender of each of the guests, in that there are 4 men and 3 women attending the party as well. So that's cool, spooky, and yeah. They go on a tour of the house as we get into Great Gig. The Scooby Gang all move off. And there's a bit here where blood drips from the ceiling onto Ruth's hand. But again, this is basically her only thing in the movie, is that she gets blood dripped on her hand a couple of times, and that freaks her out. Like,
Yeah.
it's a weird misdirect for what's going on in the movie. I don't really know what any of this is made of, but it is funny. Like, yeah.
Because it's never explained.
No. It's just this weird drip that they've got in various places. It's fucked up that it happens to her, and then they give her the room with the blood drip in it as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's just rude.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's got to spread the blood drip around, you know?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Pritchard says, you're marked now, you're done for. The ghosts will be coming for you. And everyone's like, all right. But yeah, they hit on, it's so good because he says all this like insane stuff and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's great. But yeah, they head down to the cellar where another murder took place. The previous owner of the house was like this old lord or whatever, and he was really into making wine. And when his wife didn't like the wine that he'd made, he tossed her into a vat of acid that is in the basement. You know, like houses have. What?
Yeah.
Why is there just... It's a trapdoor that lifts up and then a pool of acid under this house on a hill, no less. What? How do you... What?
Yeah. How did it get there?
I don't know. What are the...
Because it's definitely real acid.
Oh, yeah.
We find out.
Yeah, they test the acid like immediately. It's like, that's not acid. Are you joking? Acid? And then Pritchard goes and gets like a rat in a trap. Poor Ratatouille gets dunked in the acid and disappears, and then resurfaces a rat skeleton.
Yeah. Completely connected still.
Fully intact.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, it just floats to the surface. I don't know. It's crazy. Like, the code compliance of this house is out of control.
Oh.
Frank Lloyd Wright needs...
whatever they're doing on Haunted Hill.
Someone is coming for Frank Lloyd Wright's architectural license after this. How many acid traps has he installed in various other houses, huh? Come on, mate. Ridiculous.
Jeepers. That's why he's so acclaimed as an architect, is like, he just showed everyone the acid tank and was just like, do you like the house now? And kind of like nudges them a little closer and like, we love it, Frank.
We love it. We'll take as many ghoul traps as you want to put in the house. Whatever you say. Oh my God. Once everyone's has been sufficiently spooked by the acid trap, they move on. And, but Nora and Lance hang out here. They linger in the spooky cellar, just for fun. And, it's mainly so that they can, like, get to know each other. Lance, I think, is, like, trying to hit on Nora somewhat. And... we get the cha-ching of money coming in as they start discussing that they're both here for the 10 grand. That they were like, oh, I didn't know about being locked in, but I'll still stay for $10,000. That's a lot of dough. Lance just like is looking through various doors down here and then goes into one and the door locks behind him. He's trapped in darkness, and meanwhile Nora gets spooked by an old lady who just sort of coasts out of the darkness. Very spooky. The way this old lady moves, I don't know how it's done, but she just like, she's got like a tiny little skateboard that she's on and just like wheels forward, and it's unsettling because she's perfectly still. Yeah,
she's wearing like 1950s Heelys or something.
Yeah, I think so. And a dark shroud. And she's Nora's reaction to this is great as well, in that she's like obviously scared, but she just sort of like freezes against the door and doesn't scream until she runs away, which is very weird. She just watches it happen and goes like, ah! And then the old lady just like backs back into the darkness like a bird on a cuckoo clock, you know, the cuckoo. And
she was just waiting to get all the information before she screamed, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. You want to...
She's like you. She wants to understand her fear.
She's analysing the fear. I respect it. And yeah, they go, she runs upstairs and gets everyone to come back down to the cellar because there's spookiness afoot. And yeah, she's like, the door's locked and it trapped Lance in there. But when she tries the door, it just comes open because spooky.
Yeah.
And Lance is in here, but he's hit his head. Something, he either like ran into something or someone clocked him in the darkness and you don't know what happened. And he delivers a great line. He as he's getting up, they're like, "Are you all right?" And he's like, "Nothing that money won't cure." And I'm like, man, the healing powers of Pink Floyd, eh? Just coming in handy.
Yeah.
Because we got money playing. Woo!
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
But yeah, they bandage him up and he'll be fine. And yeah, they just come back upstairs after that. Thankfully, no one fell in any acid yet. Like... It's just having a bad time down here in this house on Haunted Hill. And yeah, Lance like grabs some candles from the lounge and then comes back with Nora to check out the cellar once more and figure out what happened. He took a hit to the head and he's like, what's going on here? I need to figure this out. So while everyone's still upstairs having more drinks, they just go back down with candles this time so that they can see in the dark. Probably a good call. They determine that there's a secret wall or like a gap between two doors. There's like too much space between these two rooms. There's some like hidden passage between them. And they're knocking on the wall to try and figure it out on either side. When suddenly from the darkness behind Nora emerges the old lady again, frozen in place with her hands outstretched, like like a creepy witch. And again, she just wheels past on her little skateboard, like not moving in the slightest. Very strange.
Please make her an unlockable character if you're making another Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh my god, frozen witch.
Yeah, she'd be so easy to animate because her arms will just be up in a spooky motion. Yeah,
you wouldn't have to animate anything at all except the skateboards. Yeah. Every time she does like a trick, she just like hovers off of the skateboard 2 inches, and then the skateboard does whatever it needs to do beneath her while she is frozen.
Imagine her doing a sick grind.
Oh, I like that a lot.
That's the sequel.
Yeah.
Ollie's on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, there it is. Very happy. Yeah, so obviously Nora's freaked out about this and screams out. And when Lance comes around the corner to see what's going on, the woman has shredded her way out of the room and is nowhere to be found. And he's like, "Are you making this up? Did you really see a very, very cool frozen woman? Like, what's going on here?" Yeah, he just like gaslights her basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really silly that this old lady ghost happens twice and then turns out to be nothing, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, she clearly has something else going on. Like, no one just stands in the dark with their hands out, wheeling around.
Yeah, that's just how they do it. This is what caretaking means, apparently.
Yeah. Scare taking.
Yeah. So yeah, after being told that she's making it all up by Lance, Nora just storms off upstairs and bumps into Annabelle here. Again, Miss Lauren's wife. And yeah, she's just sort of hanging around and takes her up to her room to get her to calm down. She sort of weirdly alludes to potentially that Mr. Lauren invited her because she's attractive, I think. Like a weird like jealousy angle is played in here. Maybe that's me reading too much into it, but I don't know. But she alludes to everyone being in danger. She's like, you've got to be careful. And she's like, who's going to get it? Like, who's out here trying to get us? And she's like, well, I hope you never find out. Hope you don't find that one out. You'd be too spooked. But yeah, anyway, she's just saying, don't go anywhere in this house by yourself because there's ghouls traps everywhere. Okay. She also runs into Lance on the outside, and then asks him if he could help her if she needs it, basically, and talks about how she's afraid for her life. This is all like acting on her part when she's saying that like she suspects that Mr. Lauren is out to kill her. He's like, why would he host this weird party with all these people? And it's all very weird, and lock everyone in. He's up to something. And she talks about, here this is where she talks about the second and third wives dying of heart attacks in their 20s. The first wife just disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was pretending like I hadn't already heard that fact from myself. Sorry.
Whoa, what? What happened?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, heart attacks in their 20s? Crazy. But yeah, everyone returns to the living room. Like, Mr. Lauren reappears on the scene, and he's having a whale of a time already. He's just like, oh, this is great. Someone nearly got crushed by a chandelier. This guy took a blow to the head. This party's going great. And yeah, he is trying again to get Mrs. Lauren to come down, Annabelle. And this is really weird because he's like throwing this party for her because she wanted it to happen, but he invited all the guests. Yeah. And when she refuses to come down, he like grabs her by the hair very menacingly and demands that she comes down. It's very weird. I think this is supposed to like throw you off of like who is in the wrong, right? It's like...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We've had enough hints now about also like, I mean, I think he did kill those wives no matter what actually is going to happen later in this movie.
Probably.
Yeah. And then, to follow it up with like, oh, and he's also a jerk? Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Anyway, yeah, we'll get there. So, so Nora's like, they're like, okay, we'll get everyone to come down. He knocks on people's doors and says, we'll come down to the lounge and I'll explain what's going on. It's nearly midnight, and so things are about to kick off. And Nora's like, okay, I'll be right down. I've just got to prepare some stuff. Get myself ready after being spooked in the cellar. But she gets spooked yet again. There's a severed head in her luggage, which is not what she packed. So that's disappointing.
It's like they ask you at airports, has anyone else been near your luggage? Do you have any severed heads?
Yeah. And it's like, not today. I left them at home. They're too unwieldy is the issue.
It's always hard to get them through customs.
Yeah, if I'm going to bring a severed head, I'm going to have to take out so many like clothes and other items that I'm going to need. But yeah, I like that her reaction to this isn't like fear. It's just mostly disgust. She just goes like, and runs out of the room. Which is pretty good. And yeah, she runs away like behind this curtain. There's like a secret room hidden behind a curtain at the end of the hall. And back here, there's an old dude who just grabs her from behind, covers her mouth, and says, come with us before he kills you. And she's like, ah, oh no. Like, this is a weird way to convince someone to come with you and be more safe, which is what is actually happening. Very weird. But anyway, she's terrified as she runs downstairs and everyone's just having like a drink and chilling out at this creepy party. And she's like, "What? I want to go. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to leave, sir." And they're like, "Okay, well, I'll cover off the rules. We'll talk about all this stuff." And then the caretakers show up, who are the frozen skateboarding old woman and the creepy man behind the curtain are here. They're just the caretakers of the house. And the wife is explained to be blind, which excuses the spooks, apparently.
Honestly, it just raises more questions.
Really does. Like, why? How is she moving around, one, in the darkness? And, like, She just like lived and took care of this house for so long that she knows the place. And
yeah, how's she dusting and stuff?
yeah, she's a terrible caretaker if she's completely blind. I'm not trying to be ableist, but I think that's like a reasonable thing. Maybe it's fine for a haunted mansion.
Yeah, maybe. Like, it's honestly, the blindness is nowhere near the worst part of her caretaking. It's the fact she hangs out in the dark, never lowers her arms.
Yeah.
And leaves tire tracks everywhere.
Exactly. All the banisters are ground down from her sick skids. Oh my God. Yeah, but it's not a good excuse for being creepy, but it is very Scooby-Doo for it to be the caretakers that were behind the spooks up until now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do like them just standing in the doorway like monsters style, still completely frozen. Like, it's hilarious.
Maybe they never had actors for these roles and they just cast like 2 paintings.
They just took a photo and just put it in the film. It's just a still.
Yeah, they just like took the photo at the audition and were like, actually.
Save some more money. This was an indie production, right? It wasn't like a huge Hollywood film.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it was just old mate who loved his gimmicks just making these.
Mr. Castle, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got, all the guests are reintroduced when Annabelle comes down, where you get a shot of everyone's face, I think for the trailer. And then, Nora again, after this happens, says that she wants to leave. But basically, and she's like, Mr. Lauren wants to kill me. I want to leave this house. And no one listens. She says this like 3 times in a row that she wants to leave. And everyone's like, now just hear him out. Just hang on here. I know you said
sweetie, he is a man.
Yeah.
You have to listen.
Yeah, right? Like,
yeah.
And they were like, if anyone can leave, but they forfeit the 10K, and she's like, yeah, that's the option that I want. Yes, please. I want to leave the house now. But no. This cannot happen because she is locked in for plot reasons. Yeah, it's such a...
Those caretakers locked the doors too early.
Yeah, 5 minutes early so that she couldn't escape. Hilarious. It's such a weird hole to write into the movie. I think it's because there would be like no one in their right mind at this point would be wanting to stay in the house. So we'll have her say it, but nothing will happen. It's very strange. Yeah. I wish that she had a reason to stay. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, just something kind of more to that. Especially because, gentle spoiler, is that she, is very integral to everyone's plan.
Oh, so, super important.
Obviously, because their whole plan kind of falls on her. She has to get scared, definitely scared, but then she can't logically believe. Yeah. Who's to say?
Yeah. Oh, well. Anyway, so they confirm the rules again. It's like, well, I'm afraid that, you're locked in now, so no one's leaving until dawn. So I guess it's time to hand out the party favors. We've got individual personalized little coffins, each containing a pistol for each of you. Crazy. Nuts. He's like, yes. They're all real pistols. If you don't know how a pistol works, you just cock this little bit and then you pop it off right next to your wife's face. That's how you do it. Would have been loud as hell. But anyway.
Right.
It's just a terrible idea to have this at a party, but fair enough. It does raise the stakes for the film, so that's all good. What's the best party favor you've ever got, Gareth? Can you recall off the top of your head?
Yeah, actually, I don't even know if it was the best one, but I went to a party at the bowling alley when I was a little kid, and we all got our little party bags, and in mine was a toy car that was white and red and kind of shaped like the Batmobile. It had lots of big dramatic curves, and I did not care for cars, but I cared for this one.
Nice.
And I distinctly remember coming home from the party, hanging out weirdly in my parents' room, watching the TV in there, while everyone else was in the lounge, and just playing with this toy car and watching Roald Dahl's The Witches.
Oh,
Just
wow.
having the best time. Yeah.
Nice. This sounds great.
Yeah, I wonder what became of that car. What about you?
Still driving the streets out there.
Yeah.
Christine. I don't know what my favorite party favor was. I got a slide whistle once that was pretty cool from like a party
that's
bag.
dope.
It was very annoying for
Yeah.
my family. One of the like weird gifts that I got given though, like my grandmother took us, I remember, to go see E.T. in cinema. And that was unrelated,
yeah.
but a sweet film. And then we were with them for the day, and she took us all over the place, and she bought us these fun sunglasses. And when our parents came to pick us up, they were shocked to discover that these sunglasses had weed on them, holographic weed symbols. And my grandma had bought them thinking that they were silver ferns.
Oh, no.
But she'd bought us like holographic hippie glasses instead, and my parents were not impressed. It was very fun.
That misguided patriotism.
Yeah, I still have those glasses somewhere.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so there we go.
My grandmother gave me a poster for my birthday when I was a teenager that was just a big grave
Whoa.
and then a big bat, and it said at the bottom, goth.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a poster straight from a cartoon that brought into real life. Like a very loosely drawn background shot poster that's suddenly brought to reality. That's so sweet.
We've got to show that this teenager's rebellious. The poster says goth.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, I put it up for a bit because I was like, oh, yeah, it's a nice gift. But it was also incredibly heavy and it just kept falling down. The blue tack couldn't keep it up.
Oh, my God.
And it would fall down and just get wrecked every time it fell. So, I don't know. The bat did not want to fly.
It was woven from the night itself, so
That's it.
nothing heavier than the obsidian blanket of night. Gareth.
This podcast brought to you by the obsidian blanket of night. If you want to keep up a poster, that?
Yeah, that? That, question mark. Put that at the end of any tagline and you'll improve it. Eat fresh. That?
The only podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. That?
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gets the audience questioning. Answering their first question. That? Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah. So they all get these tote bags with guns in them. And Annabelle refuses her gun several times. She doesn't need it. She's like, I don't need this to kill you, my husband. You're making it way too easy and obvious. And yeah, it's very good. And he puts it back in the little coffin very dramatically. I thought this was like a Chekhov's gun thing. Super isn't. He's just putting it back in the box. The like shot lingers on it as well. It's like, this is where the gun is, guys. It's really silly, but they all have guns, so whatever. So Nora's freaking out about this whole situation, and she's like, remember when you said that your brother and sister got chopped up and you never found the heads? You want to see one of those heads? I found a head. Come with me. And takes everyone upstairs and opens her luggage. And of course the head is gone. There's no trace. Just a silk dress in here. This is what I packed instead of that ghoulish visage. But yeah, she's clearly being messed with at this point, and she's bloody sick of it. The doctor comes in and offers her a sedative. It's like, just, I'd probably take it. If it were me in this situation, I'd just take the sedative and sleep until morning and then be $10,000 richer.
Yeah, it's actually, just to jump ahead, it is weird that he's the one offering the sedative, unless... Knowing him, it probably wasn't some kind of it was just gonna
hallucinogenic or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know. But yeah, she screams at them and yells at them until they leave. And fair enough, honestly, at this point. And yeah, we go into Eclipse as the gang sort of discuss what to do. They're like, oh, well, she's clearly upset. I don't think she's hysterical, but she's been spooked and she shouldn't be spooked anymore, Mr. Lauren. None of that. No more spooks for that girl, please. And Ruth, in a display of character motive, stays behind to watch her and hang out in her room, or will come out if there's any sounds or whatever. She'll come and check on her. So that's another thing that she does in the film. So that's good.
Yeah. On your roof.
Nice. Yeah. We get between the playthroughs here over the silence and heartbeats. Lance goes through to check on Nora, like from his room later on in the night. But she's not there. Her door is wide ajar, and he just wanders on in, and the door shuts behind him. It's weird that they have like adjoining rooms in the first place, but whatever. But when he opens the door back into his room again, there is another severed head hanging from the ceiling. I don't know if it's the same one, and it's like staring right at him. And he doesn't panic at all. He like stoically grabs the head by the hair and holds it, and then just wanders into the lounge with it, which is such a power move. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go into playthrough 2 as he goes into the lounge and Pritchard's just hanging out here with a rusty knife, because that's what he does. And yeah, interrogates him. He's like, "Where's Nora? I've got this severed head and I'm not afraid to use it." And yeah, but he's absolutely useless. He's just spouting off more oogie boogies in his own little world. And yeah, he's like, "They've taken her and she'll be one of them soon and there's nothing you can do." And it's like, thanks, great. I want to know where she is. Where have they taken her, sir? And he's like, "Oh." And yeah, he's so unhelpful. Pritchard sucks. I love him, but he's just the worst part of this. Like, he's the worst member of this party. But yeah, they hear another scream from upstairs, and Pritchard doesn't even react. He just stays here and keeps fondling his knife. Lance like runs out to see what's going on, and he and the doc discover Annabelle hanging from the ceiling by the neck. She's hung herself with rope, tied to the banister. Brutal.
Yeah. We don't know who it is for a while until they take her down and put her on the bed. Yeah. So I think you're supposed to be implied to be Nora for a bit, but yeah, it was brutal.
It's true. We only see who it is until we see when Mr. Lauren shows up to see what's going on. And yes, she's lying on the bed. It's Annabelle. And yeah, looking very good for someone who's been hung. Like, usually you're quite blue in the face when you hang by the neck until dead. Fun fact for you. Spooky facts. But yeah, she's looking like very prim and proper. Would be my first suspicion here. But the doc is like, nope, she is dead. She is super dead. And somebody has done it, because there was no way that she got up there by herself. There was no like thing she stood on to get up there. Someone had to have done it to her. So there you go. And they suspect that it's Mr. Lauren, but they sort of move on from that. Lance goes again into Nora's room, and she's here this time. We don't know. She was like lurking outside, or like hiding around the corner, I think. And they hide in her room, and she says that she got attacked and choked by an assailant in the dark. We don't know who it was. She initially says that it was Mr. Lauren, but she can't really be sure who it was, because it was too dark. And she was like, "They left me for dead. They strangled me and thought I had died, but I didn't die." And so Lance is like, "Well, you'll be fine if you stay in your room, because everyone will think you're dead." Which is some bad logic, but whatever. And yeah, he tells her to stay here. He tells her that about Annabelle dying as well, and they're going to go figure that out. But you should stay here while we do that. And yeah, Mr. Lauren meanwhile goes back and looks at his dead wife and does like a creepy monologue about her being cold in death and in life.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty messed up. And as he's giving this like terrifying speech, Pritchard is just in the room, just being a creepo.
Fucking Pritchard.
What are you doing in here? And he's like, I didn't want her to turn into a ghoul. And he's like, I've had enough of your spook talk, Pritchard. Get out of here.
Ultimate line.
Very good. Also, bad acting by Annabelle here. Her eyelids are pretty clearly fluttering in this shot. She is super alive, but whatever. Anyway.
I guess it makes... Oh, zip. Oh, I'm such a spoily boy today. I'm like,
spoily boy.
Strap
It's
me
hard
to the
when
back
it's
of
a
your
spooky...
Volkswagen.
Yeah. It's a tricky when it's a spooky movie. There's a lot of twists and turns, so you know. I'll give you
and
it.
in this film, all the twists and turns will happen in the final, 4 minutes. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
I can't blame you. So we'll get there. Everyone gathers around to discuss what to do now that somebody has died. They don't know who done it. People are suspecting Mr. Lauren, but of course there's no way to prove that anyone did it. Could have been any one of them, and all the clocks go off in time over this revelation. So there definitely was a murder, and in order for everyone to survive the night, they're like, well, what we'll do is we'll go to our rooms and stay in our rooms, and if anyone comes out of their room, they admit their guilt, because no one would have any reason to leave their room unless they weren't innocent, right? These guys have never played a game of murder before, I don't think, because there's all manner of excuses that you could make up to leave, and this movie's going to prove it. It's a very bad plan. So they all just go, they were like, yes, we'll stay in our rooms and we'll point a gun at anyone who comes in and it'll be fine. And we'll wait until dawn. So yeah, they go and do that. They all head off to their respective rooms and either say goodnight or not based on how weird you are. Which is very fun. And then we get a couple more spooks with everyone just hanging out in their rooms. The doc takes some notes, and then his candles keep blowing out.
He gets out the tiniest notepad, and you just know it's just got each letter of the word hysteria per page. But he does do it when Pink Floyd sing about half a page of scribbled lines. Which made me very happy. Yeah.
That's good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, his notepad isn't quite half a regular page. I'd say it's much smaller, but you know.
It's half the size of a regular notebook, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just know that script is completely unreadable in the tiny doctor's scrawl. Oh my gosh. Ruth gets more blood dripped on her hand from the ceiling and just can't wash it off of her hand. She's only got tissues in her room and it's not working. It's staining her hand and she's just breaking down. Just an extra spook for flavour reasons. Poor Ruth. She's got this curse of the blood ghost on her. You know? That's a bad time. But yeah.
That would be, honestly, a curse that just keeps making you unclean.
Oh.
That would be how you get
horrible.
me.
Yeah. Curse of the
unclean. I don't know if
unclean.
I've pitched my scary short story about a man who can never get dry after he gets wet.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Right?
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's...
I don't know what to do with that idea, but...
That's really good. That's... Yeah. I can see that exactly playing out. That's really good. Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
It definitely feels like Robert Pattinson would be in the film version.
The wettest lad. Just one. He was shiny for a bit, and now he's a wet boy. All right.
Yeah. He just loves being gross for his movies.
He does. Man.
Yeah. And you know James Cameron's directing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's developed some kind of water that never leaves your system. He's desperately trying to make this horror a reality. Like,
Yeah.
that's what he's working on. The water on Pandora, if you dip in once, you're wet forever. That's a rule. Oh my god, the worst.
Avatar 6, co-written by Gareth Blackler and Robert Pattinson.
Amazing. I'm now on the side of the bad guys of Avatar. Blow that planet up.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. The super wet water. God, get rid of it. Yeah. So yes, there's just more spooks going on. Lance gets trapped behind a fake wall. He goes investigating. He like immediately leaves the room like he's not supposed to. And yeah, just gets trapped behind a like sliding door. Hilarious. I think this is the one that the old man emerged from earlier as well.
Yeah.
We get the great gig is screaming on in. Because we're about to get into some real good screaming. And because Nora is about to have the fright of her life in her room. She's just sort of hanging out here when she sees the ghost of Annabelle floating outside her window, suspended. And a rope comes in through the window and coils around her legs, like through the bars of the window. It just coils up her legs. It doesn't really do anything to her. It just scares her.
It coils up and then changes its mind and coils back down.
Yeah. A very similar fashion to the old lady, like coming out on her skateboard and then wheeling back the same way. This is the same kind of trick where they do the spook and then they undo the spook. All right. And yeah, it's very weird, but I guess it makes sense in context. I had no idea how they did this. This is the most impressive spook of the film. It makes no sense. How they...
It's not explained, like, once you get all your twists answered. It's completely just left to you to be like, what?
She's just got this magic rope that she can control. It doesn't... Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how it's done, but anyway. She runs out into the hallway, and Annabelle is there as well, hanging from the ceiling, again, looking down at her with the broken neck. And you're like, oh, no, it's very scary. Also, to add insult to injury, a little swamp thing hand comes around the corner and tries to snatch at Nora while she's just seeing this horrific sight.
Yeah, just the hairiest hand in the world.
Yeah. This hand is perpetually wet as well. It's the hand of Robert Pattinson coming around.
His first role.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so gross. Very weird. But yeah, these spooks are easily enough. But no, we have a third and final spook to send someone over the edge. And she runs down into the lounge and there's a piano that starts spookily playing itself, Gareth.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the scariest of all. Of course it is. No, not seeing a hanging person who was alive a few hours ago. No, it's a piano playing itself that sends you over the edge.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Even though player pianos had been in like existence since the 1800s.
Exactly. No, it's a ghost. Definitely a spectre at the keys. One of my favorite things in all horror movies is a ghost playing a piano. I think that's like the funniest recurring thing ever because, they're just like playing minor key songs. It's wonderful.
I watched a horror movie this week. It's one of my 6. That we will cover on the show. We just can't cover it next week because the title is pretty much the exact same as this title.
Oh no, that'd be too confusing.
And I don't want us to... I don't want us to get into like some sort of unfortunate pattern because I don't know where we can go from... Because the film was called House.
All right.
From the 70s and from Japan. But like, you'll love the ghost piano in that.
Hell yeah.
Keep an eye out, listener, for like, I don't know, episode 100 or whatever when we finally get to House.
Sweet.
We have enough distance between this title and that title.
Okay.
Because that is my favorite ghostly piano, and I will get a job at screenrant.com to make that listing and put it at number 1.
Okay. Can I submit my submission for number one spookiest piano? Or ghost piano? It's the one from Mario 64 that comes alive and tries to eat you when you get too close.
Ooh.
It's a grand piano, and the grand piano lid opens and there's big teeth, and the sound effect that plays is just like someone slamming their arm onto the keyboard over and over again, and it's just it's very frightening for a Nintendo 64 game. Yeah, shout outs to that piano for scaring the bejesus out of me. So there you go.
Have you heard about there's a New Zealand, I think, composer who she wrote a piece that's just the score is just set piano on fire.
Whoa.
And you just like you listen to this piano burn and like you hear like that's the strings snap and make cool noises. And the band Clipping sampled it on their second most recent album.
Nice.
And it is just like I think 18 minutes long of just like rustling fire and piano breaking.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah, that's number 3 in our list of spooky pianos.
All right. Man, this article is really coming together.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get back. We'll work on that a bit later and publish it, but we'll get back to the film. The doc comes out, and he immediately breaks the rules, much like Lance did. Just like leaves his room because he heard some sounds, and they said that they would stay in their rooms. That's like kind of the whole point. I don't know. But he goes up to Mr. Lauren's door, and Mr. Lauren's like, I see you're admitting guilt, like we said. And he's like, hardly. Of course not. I am an innocent man. That's why I'm out of my room. Duh. Ridiculous.
Even though...
Yeah. He's like, I heard noises. But I heard organ music, and therefore that must mean a killer is out. But yes, he's like, okay, we should split up and find them, armed with our pistols. I'll search the upstairs, you search the downstairs. Good-o. That's the plan. Mr. Lawrence like, fine, let's do that. I think that's a bad idea, but let's do it. He goes on downstairs, and then once he's moved on, the doc immediately turns around and goes into Annabelle's room, who is, surprise, still alive. Obviously.
We saw those eyelids.
Yeah. They faked her death. We get basically their whole plot here explained very quickly. Where they faked her death with the hanging, and they are secretly lovers who are trying to kill Mr. Lauren and claim his fortune, and also frame someone else for it through this party. And they're this playing out over money is pretty cool, because it's like that's a good fit that they're scheming to steal that money. It's a gas, Gareth. They spooked Nora to drive her into a state of hysteria and drive her to kill Mr. Lauren in the dark of the cellar, because she's like scared out of her mind by seeing all this spooky stuff and is running around with a gun. And Mr. Lauren is going to be looking for the killer himself, and they're both walking around in the dark, and eventually one's going to get shot, is the plan. It's all very chance-based, as you said, but they feel like that they've sufficiently spooked Nora into killing Mr. Lauren. She suspects that he was the one doing the strangling of her. I think it's pretty clearly implied that was the doctor. But anyway, so she's going to kill him, and they're like, yep, it's all going to go fine. They had to convince her to use the gun in the first place because she didn't really want to.
Another place where their plan could have fallen apart.
Yeah, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Sedative thing wouldn't have worked.
So they've obviously got the scare takers in on it to spook her more, make her more scared, and then lock the doors when she gets second thoughts. So they're splitting it with them, I guess. And then they're relying on her getting scared enough, leaving the room, getting more scared, deciding to deal with her fright by firing her gun.
Yeah, guess so. But that's exactly what happens. We see it play out.
Yeah, so, hey, what do I know?
We see it play out perfectly on screen. She goes down into the basement, into the cellar, looking for the spooks, and who should come in but Mr. Lauren? And he goes, "Wait, don't kill me!" And then she shoots him. And yeah, she's like, "Oh shit!" And she screams and runs off. She realizes that she's killed a man, and she panics. And yeah, and then we see emerging from like a hallway down here for some reason. I love this. Like, it's like center frame. There's this like little alleyway in the wall of darkness that the doctor comes out of. And just like drags the body over to the acid pit to dispose of it, I guess. I don't know. I feel like you should really have the body prove that they got shot as part of this whole story. If you burn the body in acid, who did that? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Did you think this through?
Then they might as well have just shot him and dropped him in the...
Exactly. It sort of ruins the scheme, but whatever. He throws him in, and we cut to black as we hear a scream right at the end of Money. So that's all good. We go into Us and Them now, coming on in as Annabelle goes down to the cellar, as she was instructed to do, to see that her husband was dead and reunite with the doctor. But there's no one here. And she goes over to the acid pit, and what should emerge but it's anatomy class skeleton
Yes!
rising from the Christ-like from the pit of acid. I love him.
I was so stoked, yeah.
Yeah, fully intact skeleton, like joints controlling its hands and all. Like, it's fresh from the science class. It's so funny. With like quite clearly a string attached to its head, hoisting it out as well. But she is horrified that this skeleton is coming after it. It like does like a little creepy bounce walk towards her. It's great watching this skeleton move around. Not nowhere near as convincing as the claymation skeletons in Jason and the Argonauts.
Not in the slightest.
Yeah. But yes, it just like wanders over to her and is talking in Mr. Lauren's voice, accusing her of murder. And she is freaking out. And like it's chasing her all around the room very slowly. And she backs up to the acid pit and it delivers a skeletal push and pushes her in. And she dies. She dies in acid. From a skeletal push. And
a gentle skeletal push.
Yeah, it's a very light tap from a very weak skeleton.
Yeah. Literally no muscles.
No. But it's enough. And who should emerge from the same shadowy void as earlier, but Mr. Lauren himself. He is alive and controlling the skeleton with a hilarious puppeteer rig of strings and pulleys.
So intense, this rig, yeah.
It's very funny and completely fake. Like, there is a real rig of wires and stuff controlling this, but it's not attached to Mr. Lauren in the slightest.
No.
When he comes out, there are two strings like dangling the skeleton towards him, and they super are not rigged up to this. It's very funny. And yeah, he's like, he goes over to the acid pit and he's like, "Yes, I knew all along that you were plotting to kill me, but you didn't know that when you started your game of murder, I too was playing. Ha ha ho." And yeah, he's murdered them both, the doctor and his wife.
Yeah, because when it cut to black earlier, he'd pushed the doctor into the acid.
Yeah, again, unlikely. Like, he's pretending to... I guess it's a surprise. He has the surprise factor. He's being dragged over to the acid pit. It's very risky. You're on the ground, but you have to shove the man who's pulling you into the pit of acid and not take yourself with you. It is real acid.
Yeah.
I don't think I could pull this maneuver off without losing a hand.
Yeah, and he's obviously pre-planned for all of this. Like, he's expected it. Because, I hope I'm allowed to spoil this part now.
Oh,
but he gave Nora a blank gun.
Yeah.
So, like,
yes.
He had to hope that she was the only one who tries to shoot him. And then, like, he's built this entire rigged skeleton in his basement to scare her after she expects him to go in the acid. Huge fault in this is, like, if that's real acid, how strong are these strings?
Yeah, for real.
He also chucks his skeleton back in the acid afterwards.
Yeah.
So when they go to find all these bones, they're going to find his fake Scully as well.
Yes, there's 2 real skeletons, a rat skeleton, and this weird science skeleton down here. There's like a police officer trying to put the crime together with just those suspects. Like, it's like, and then the rat tripped over and fell in the acid, tripping over the science skeleton. You know,
I heard about a case in Paris where a rat controlled a man. Could this be it?
Could this be a Ratatouille 2? Oh,
the prequel, Ratatouille Pre.
Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, so we're wrapping up the film here. Yes, Nora, they free Lance from his secret room prison that he was in, and Nora confesses like, "Oh, I shot Mr. Lauren. I'm going to go to jail. This sucks." And then they go down to the cellar, and Mr. Lauren is of course alive. He's removed his puppeteer garb, thankfully.
Yeah, which must have taken him ages.
I do like that he's like a literal puppeteer and the puppeteer of the night. Like, that's a good fit. Just for a theme kind of thing.
Yeah, that's smart.
But yeah, he's alive and well, and explains that he loaded Nora's gun with blanks, and so he was going to be fine. Still very dangerous. Don't ever assume that firing a gun that's loaded with blanks won't kill someone. This is bad. Gun safety tip. Oh, ooh, spooky. But and then he's like, well, and yes, I subsequently killed my wife and the doctor for plotting to kill me. That'll show them. And he says that he's not going to get out of it like clean or anything. There are 4 witnesses to this crime, and he's like, I'll let justice decide what's going to happen for me. But he's rich, so he's probably just going to pay off a jury or whatever and get away with it again. As you say, he super killed his previous wives, probably in a very similar plot to this.
Yeah, a full movie worth of like different people playing each other.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, officer. She had a heart attack and then fell into my vault of acid. I don't know. So strange.
Honestly, Frank Lloyd Wright is the real culprit here. He's the one building these acid houses.
Notorious killer, Frank Lloyd Wright.
Inventor of the genre of acid house.
There we go. That is canon as fuck on the podcast. So he's going to at least go to trial for this, so thank goodness for that. He could have just, like, recorded that. This is his house. He could have set up audio recorders and... or, like, just had witnesses account for what his wife was up to on this night. I don't know. There are other people here. You didn't need to kill her. She could have just gone to jail or something.
Right?
Whatever. Anyway... Pritchard is still being a spooky boy at the end of this. He wanders over to the acid pit, exactly the same. He's like, now there are 9 ghosts out here in this house, and they've joined the host of ghosts, and they're coming for me next, and then they're coming for you. Just stares down the lens.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then, that's it. That's the movie. We leave the house. We get like a lightning flash, and we just back out of the house the way we came in, and that's it. The house on Haunted Hill.
It ends. It ends with my favourite credit, though, that the skeleton was played by himself.
Yeah, there you go. Shout outs to you, skeleton.
Which does, just before we tell you how it's synced, it brings back our favourite segment of Skeleton News.
Woo! Yes.
The segment where I Google skeleton and then click the news element. From metro.co.uk. Nun caught dancing with skeleton next to graveyard.
Caught?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
None is in quotation marks. This was an article by Emma Brazil from mid-September this year.
I like this headline changes drastically depending on what word is in quotation marks. Like, if dancing was in quotation marks, then this would be a whole nother story.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, that's chilling. That's spooky. That's Halloween.
Yeah.
A woman dressed as a nun was pictured dancing with a prop human skeleton before playing with another that looked like a dog.
Whoa.
One baffled witness said, literally, she was stood at the cemetery on Springbank West, opposite the turn-off for Heimer's school. Thanks for these directions.
Wow, yeah.
She was dancing with a skeleton. It was clearly attracting a lot of attention, with people stopping to watch nearby and people in their cars looking.
Okay.
Yeah. Reports say that someone was filming it, and that suggests it may be part of a stunt or art project, although this remains unknown. Yeah.
You decide.
There's photos of this. Yeah.
Ooh, art project or sinister dance?
Speaking of art projects that may just be sinister dances, what did you think of this film and how did it sync?
How did it sync with this film? Well, not very much in terms of syncs. There were some, but I don't know. I was too overwhelmed with fright to catch many more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm feeling like a 3-ish. Somewhere in that range.
I loved half a page of scribbled lines enough to give it a 3, I reckon.
Yeah. It's a barely legible 3 on our pads.
Yeah. Scribbled all over the graph is a 3, making most of the graph unreadable now.
Oh no! Damn. Well, we've ruined the whole show for this one. So
on a future episode when we cover Eraserhead, we'll be able to rub out the 3 and put in more
I love that idea. We just fix our mistakes on the graph. We use our Eraserheads and tackle the graph.
The Eraserhead episode will just be us apologizing for, like, errors we've made in this podcast before. Like, we got the date the room was out. We got that lady from the Drew Carey show's name wrong. Yeah.
We'll be truly the Eraserhead. We'll be erasing your head canon of the podcast.
Love it.
Yeah.
So yeah, a 3. A big old messy 3.
Sweet. Lock it in. What are we doing? More spooks next week? I don't know. What's going on, Gareth?
People keep asking if we've got more spooks, and I think we've got more spooks.
Oh!
I'm happy with our 3, but I think we could have given it 5 more points. I want a film that's definitely going to it definitely has 5 on them. A film that's got 5 on them. Because, movies, we sync them. That's what we do. We sync them. But Pink Floyd have, since day one, raised this question, this dichotomy with us of us and them.
Yeah.
We've spent so long syncing them. Why don't we sync us? Us, 2019, directed by Jordan Peele.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Spooky. Let the spooks roll on through. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Lock it in. We'll do that.
Sweet. Exciting.
All right.
Wow.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. What if this episode just ends with us getting up and walking away in silence?
Yep, that's it. Sorry. Yeah. I'm going to waddle my way slowly as a skeleton to rest.
I'm going to lower myself back into my vat of acid.
Yeah.
If you enjoy the experience of being lowered into a vat of acid, then you must use Twitter. So follow us on Twitter.
Wow.
at Pink Floyd Pod.
Please do. Direct your complaints direct to our inbox. That rules. Okay. Shout outs to Twitter. Get at us on all the socials other than Twitter as well. We exist there too. I don't think that subreddit has started, but if it has, hell yeah. I
was
choose
thinking
to
about this
remain
the other
ambivalent.
day. I reckon our subreddit would all like love you and find me really annoying, and I can't put any reason to that.
Well, we'll have to find out. I don't know.
They'd be like, did anyone else disagree with Gareth's opinion on this? But our golden boy James did it again.
There is no way. Like, I've got so many hot takes on there. I'd be destroyed. I'd be lowered into a vat of acid of my own making. And there's no one to blame for that but myself. I've been James Barron.
And I've apparently been Reddit's favourite boy, Gareth Blackler. That's the scariest sentence you'll hear this Halloween. Gosh, yeah, and until next time, we'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
On the dark side of the moon. Ow! I'm a werewolf now.